Hey, 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 it's AAA Wednesday, which stands for Ask Alyssa Anything, and it's my weekly Q&A session where I'm going into the comments and answering questions you've left me about the publishing industry and writing a better book. It's my small way of saying thank you to my amazing community of engaged, loyal subscribers. I treasure all of you so much, and I hope you know that. If you're watching this and you haven't yet joined this amazing community, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I promise you won't regret it. In addition to these weekly sessions, I do weekly videos where I either have a deep dive into a topic related to the publishing industry or a specific craft issue, particularly geared towards novelists. So if any of that interests you, we'd love to have you. One more piece of housekeeping before we dive into the questions today. If you can pop down and hit that thumbs up button, it's a small, silly thing, but it really does help my videos reach more viewers just like you, so I'd really appreciate it. Here's the first question. Is it in bad taste to query two agents that work for the same agency? They accept queries independently, but both are accepting submissions within the same genre. Is it okay to query both of them at the same time? It is possible to query two agents who work for the same agency only if the agency specifically states that they accept simultaneous submissions to multiple agents there. Most agents tend to have the rule that you can only query one agent per agency, but if an agency states you can query multiple agents there and multiple agents look like a good fit for your book, there's no reason why you can't do so. Just make sure you're following whatever the agency states is their rule. Here's another question. If you feel your agent is not doing a good enough job getting editors/publishers to take on your book, can you just end the contract with them and go to another agent? I imagine there should be a deadline clause in the contract. Of course, this is when you really feel they haven't done their best. If you are in a situation with your agent where you don't feel like the partnership is beneficial and the agent hasn't gotten you the results that you want and you're not happy with the publishers that they are trying to present your book to, you should definitely have an open, honest conversation with them about your next steps and your potential path forward. It's critical that the author-agent relationship is working for both of you. And if at any point it's not working, you should feel empowered to terminate that agreement. First, I would recommend voicing your concerns to the agent. Are there specific publishers you were hoping that they would submit your book to that they didn't? And if that's the case, can they please explain why? Open and honest communication really is critical for a productive author and agent relationship. If you go through that conversation and you're not happy with the way that the agent handled it, and you just don't feel like this partnership is going to serve you going forward, then I would turn to your contract and look at whatever clause discusses how you can terminate the agreement. Your agency contract should absolutely have language related to terminating the relationship, and you should be able to do so if you feel that is the best thing for your career. There may be a stipulation in which you can't query more literary agents for a certain period of time after ending this relationship with this agent, so you just want to check what the red tape is, but I would encourage you to end the relationship with the agent if it's not serving you. After all, you are paying them part of your book deal, and they should earn that compensation by serving you and helping you grow your career. If the relationship with the agent is off and you're not feeling empowered with that agent as your partner in publishing, then it might be time to end it and find a new agent. Before we get into the next question, I wanted to let you know about a free resource I created specifically for my YouTube community. It's called my Story Self-Assessment Worksheet, and it's designed for authors who have a draft of their current work in progress, but don't know where to take it from here. It's a fun quiz that's going to help you see it in a new light and identify areas to improve on the next draft. The link is in the description below, and downloading that is going to sign you up for my newsletter, Chapter Break, where I interview publishing industry professionals and successfully published authors. You all are getting a lot of value out of the newsletter, I'm hearing, and I am so happy about that. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely do so, and the link for that is also in the description. Here's the next question. Hey Alyssa, first of all, nothing to cringe at in your early videos. It's only natural for your earlier videos to be less high quality but equal in substance and value. Thank you so much for saying that. This is in response to a video where I talked about some of my earlier content and just being really grateful to my subscribers who have been with me through all of that. Sometimes I do look at those early videos and cringe a little bit, but I'm really glad that you think the content is still useful and that I shouldn't be ashamed of it. Here's the question portion. I'd like to ask if you could share some good tips on cutting down your manuscript in a second, third, etc. edit. I and other writers I know have a tendency to write too much, so any tips on how to cut down a substantial amount of your book would be super helpful. It's a far more common issue that you have a manuscript that is too long than too short. And I certainly work with a lot of authors who tend to overwrite. And in the revision process, we need to really distill the manuscript down to make it tight and make sure the pacing is working. There are so many issues that arise when you have a manuscript that's too bloated. So it's very important for you to be aware of what you might cut out if you sense that the manuscript is too long. I'm going to go over 2 big areas that I want you to look at when you're considering cutting down your novels substantially. We're not talking about trimming 2,000 words here and there, but more like 10, 20, 30,000 words. The first would be your POVs. If you have a multiple POV narrative, maybe you have 3, 4, 5 different POV characters, an easy but not easy way to cut down the manuscript is to eliminate a POV. And in many cases, your POVs are actually not evenly balanced as is. So cutting out one of those POVs or storylines is actually going to make the book feel much tighter and more focused on the POVs/storylines that we actually care about. That can be a really, really tough thing for you as the author to do because you wrote those POVs and storylines for a reason, and I'm sure you feel attached to them. But in some cases, that POV or storyline can become its whole other novel entirely. So even if you eliminate it here, you could find use for it in another book. Another area I want you to look at is the time frame that your novel covers. Sometimes the heart of the story is really in this time frame, but the story takes place from here to here. And we have a lot of extraneous either lead up material to the real crux and core of the story, or we have a lot of material at the end that really isn't adding that much value once we saw the main conflict resolved at this other earlier point. So try to do the work of identifying where the core of your story really is. And typically that is a defined time frame. In a novel, it might be a week, or it might be a year or 2 years. There are some novels that are more epic in scope and cover a period of decades, but unless that epic quality is really essential to the story and part of the structure of the novel, then I would say it's unlikely that you would cover that much time in a novel successfully. So consider if you can trim certain parts down so that we are really entering the story right at that pivotal inflection point where the plot really begins, and we're ending the novel after the main resolution without too much extra stuff on top of it. That's all we had time for today. Thank you so much to everyone who asked me a question, and if you have something you'd like to ask, drop it in the comments here and it will be added to my queue for my next session. Before you head out, please hit that thumbs up button to help out my channel, hit that subscribe button to join this amazing community, and don't forget your free story self-assessment worksheet and my newsletter link in the description below. Thanks so much for watching and happy writing.